Good morning from Baking Bakers. Today we're going to make a simple sour cream sugar cookie that'll be a favorite for all of your holiday parties. So let's get right to it. I have my stand mixer and I'm going to put in 1 3/4 cup of granulated sugar and 1 cup of softened unsalted butter. And then we're going to mix that until it's well creamed for around 5 minutes. We'll start it on low to get it mixed in. And then we'll increase the speed to a medium high, and we're just going to let that go for a while. It starts out sort of grainy and yellowish, and the more we beat it, the whiter and creamier it will become. And that's going to give our cookies a nice, soft, lofty texture. Okay, at about the halfway point, I'm going to turn my mixer off, grab my spatula, and scrape the sides of the bowl down. It's already turning white, which is what we want. Still a little grainy, not as creamy as I'd like to see it. All right, we'll start that back up for a couple of minutes, and then we'll move on. All right, this has been beating for about 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and turn it down or off and scrape the bowl down once again. It's nice and creamy and white. That's the way we want it to look. Now to this, I'm going to add 2 large room temperature eggs. And I'm just going to turn it on low. Let that combine us a minute. Then I'm going to add 1 cup of sour cream. Whoops. I'm not the neatest baker in the world. And 1 teaspoon of good quality vanilla. I like to go a little heavy on the vanilla, so I probably have about 1.5 teaspoons. Add that right in there. And then we're going to mix this until it's well combined. All right. Next, we're going to add 3.5 cups of flour. Come on up here so you can see me. Yeah. We're going to add 3.5 cups of flour. My recipe calls for all-purpose flour, but I like to substitute a little bit of cake flour for these type of cookies. And cake flour usually comes in a box like this. And so I'm going to substitute 1 cup of the all-purpose flour for the cake flour. And for a cakey-like cookie, it's going to give it a nice loft. It has a little bit of a lower protein so that the gluten doesn't develop as much. And it just adds a little bit. You don't have to do that. You can use all-purpose flour, and that's fine. So I'm going to combine those 2 flours. And then I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 whole teaspoon of baking powder, and 1 whole teaspoon of baking soda. Oh, I have to tell you about these little bowls. So this winter, I went on vacation down south with my husband's family, and my sister-in-law does pottery. So she brought clay, and she let us all make some little things, and I decided to make these fun little ingredient bowls. And it was super fun. She was super patient with us. But what I did learn from that is pottery is not really my thing. I'm not super good at that. So, but it was fun to do, and I'm super happy to have the reminder of our fun vacation. Okay, I'm gonna whisk these flours and soda, baking powder, and salt together a little bit. And then we're gonna combine it with our dough, wet ingredients. I'm just gonna slowly add it on low. And you don't need to overmix this, you just want it combined. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop it. Grab my spatula, clean off these beaters. And this is a very soft dough. And the next step is probably the hardest step in the whole process. And that is, get this off of here. At this point, we're gonna just scrape this down, mix it into the center, and then it has to be refrigerated for at least 4 hours. I will oftentimes make this a day ahead of time and leave it in the refrigerator overnight. So we're gonna cover this with saran wrap or plastic wrap, and then we're gonna put it in the refrigerator for 4 hours, and then we'll be back. Hello, welcome back. Our dough has been in the refrigerator for several hours now, and I'm going to take it out and I'm going to form these cookies, and we'll get them in the oven. The first thing I did was preheat my oven to 350 degrees. So let's get these cookies made. My cookie scoop is broken, so I'm just using a serving spoon, and I'm estimating. This is a soft dough, so you want to handle it gently, and you're just going to form it into some little balls like that. Make sure your hands are clean. You can wear gloves if you're doing this for other people. I think I can get 12 on a tray. After my trays are full and in the oven, I'm going to refrigerate any leftover dough before I make the next trays so it stays nice and cold. Try to make your balls as even as possible. All right, there's one tray. Now I gotta wash my hands quick. I always put my cookies on a parchment paper lined cookie sheet, or you can use Silpats as well. It just makes it nicer, and it's so easy for the cleanup. If you decide to make these bigger or smaller, you can adjust your cooking time, either up or down just a little bit. These are gonna go in the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes until the center is just set and the edges are just starting to turn brown. I heard my oven timer go off, or temperature go off. So we're gonna go ahead and put these in the oven. And as you can see, I did not get 12 on a tray, I got 9 on a tray. Always better to put less on than more on so they don't all squish together. So those will, I put my timer for just a minute or two less than the minimum time, because you can always add time, but you can never take time away. So we'll keep an eye on them and keep you informed. Meanwhile, I'm going to clean out my mixing bowl, put this dough in something else and put it back in the refrigerator. And then we're going to go ahead and make our frosting. So I'll see you in a bit. My timer just went off, so let's check these cookies. Not quite done. A little shiny on top. I hope you could see that. Sorry, I'm not a very good camera person today. I'm gonna leave them in for just about 2 minutes and recheck them. It's been 2 minutes. Our timer's about ready to go off. There it is. I'm gonna bring the cookies to you this time. Oh yeah. See how they're just a little bit brown on the edge, but they're not barely done on top. This one got a little smushed, that's what I was talking about. It's okay, they'll still taste good. Now, I'm gonna leave these on this pan to cool for 5 minutes before I remove them from the baking pan to a towel. And then we're gonna let them cool completely and frost them, and we'll be making the frosting shortly. Let's make some frosting for these cookies. So for this recipe, I'm using a half of a cup of unsalted butter that's been softened, and a half of a cup of Crisco. And the reason I'm doing that is because the Crisco is going to make this frosting a little more stable. When you have your cookies for summer outside, you just want them to be a little bit stable. You can certainly use just buttercream if you prefer that. Okay, I had forgotten to wash my beater, so I got that in there. We're going to turn this on with just the butter and the Crisco, and we're going to whip it on high for a couple of minutes. Okay, slight change of plans. My mixer quit on me. So I'm getting out my handy dandy hand mixer, and we'll keep going with that. Helps if you plug it in. Maybe. There we go. Whew, technical difficulties. That's mixed pretty good. I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to add, I have 2 pounds of powdered sugar, which is about 8 cups. I'm not going to put it all in at once. I'm going to put a little bit in, and I might not end up using it all. So let's put some in. And then I have some heavy cream. I have about a 1/4 cup. I'm going to put maybe a couple of tablespoons in. And then I have a teaspoon of white vanilla, and I use the white vanilla because it doesn't color the white frosting. So let's go ahead and whip that a little bit. I'm going to add some more powdered sugar and some more heavy cream. A couple more tablespoons. Needs more liquid, so I'm going to grab some more cream. And I'm going to put in about 2 more tablespoons. A little bit more. It's just a little thicker than I want it to be. Still a little bit more. I'm going to use a lot. Apparently I'm going to use about a half a cup of this. Okay. That is about the texture I want. I did not end up using all of my powdered sugar, but I got a nice buttercream. Perfect. Okay, we're ready to frost these cupcakes. So, I am using a disposable 16-inch pastry bag. And I'm using a large coupler and a 1M tip. So normal sized is this. They're small when you're decorating a cake. But if you want to do cupcakes or cookies and you want to do them fast, use a big one. So we're going to cut the end of our pastry bag. And we're going to put this part of the coupler inside. Like that. Then we put the tip on the outside and screw the coupler in place. The easiest way to fill a pastry bag is to get a drinking cup. Fold your bag over the drinking cup and then take your spatula and put your frosting right in that bag and smush it down. And then bring the edges up and take your hand and twist it until it's nice and firm. Okay, let's frost these cookies. I'm just going to take this and start in the middle and press evenly, firm it around, bring it back to the center. You don't have to use a pastry bag, but it's really quite convenient. I need to refill because I'm getting to the end. So I'm going to repeat the process. Open that up. Scoop some frosting in. Bring the sides up and twist. All right, and then I have these really fun 4th of July star sprinkles. We're just gonna put a few sprinkles on each one. Oh, that's a lot. Probably don't need that many. Grandma's hands shake, so I'm gonna do it this way. That's easier for me. You do it however you want. Look how beautiful that is. Everybody's gonna want one of these cookies. So have fun making them and eating them. And I'm sure if you have kids around, they're gonna love them. Our kids love them. And until next time, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, put any questions and comments you have down below, and we'll see you next time on Baking Bakers.